Bali Bungkus today. So today we're gonna have GP who's gonna talk about WordPress, which I'm super excited about because I don't know about that as well, and I would love to learn more about WordPress because he said that it's going to be easy. So I don't know what's easy for him and what's easy for me, but we're just gonna see how it works. But anyway, before we start, I just want to tell you about the events that is happening at Ubud. As you know, that at Ubud we have a lot of event happening here. So tomorrow we're going to have a Therapeutic Thursday, which is another yoga session. It's a free of charge for member with one of our lovely teacher, Ilse. She's going to teach us the yoga tomorrow at 4 to 5 in the outside area. So for some of you who wants to, who missed the session this morning, which is at 9 to 10, and hashtag me too. So we're gonna have another yoga session. So if you're not an early bird or an early riser, we have the yoga session for you guys.
Shilpa.
Welcome. Anyway, and also on Friday, we're going to have a Ubud members lunch. And I'm gonna set up the table outside. So basically there will be some caterer who's gonna cater the food outside. So we're just gonna have food together, leave your work for a bit, get to know the members. And yeah, and for some of you Ubud members at the moment who is not at the WhatsApp group yet, just go to the front desk, give your number so you know what is happening. We can hang out together later on. So yeah, that's the last event for this week. But the other, another event that I want to tell you as well that I'm super excited about is any one of you will be here on November. I want to see people on November here. Yes, November peeps. Okay. All right. Awesome. So on November we're going to have a Startup Weekend Bali, and for some of you who doesn't know Startup Weekend Bali, so it's a 54-hour event that we organize with Google for Entrepreneurs and also Techstar. So in this event, GP is going to be one of the coaches as well for Startup Weekend Bali. And in this 54-hour event, it's a really nice event for you if you want to validate your business and learn how to start a new startup. So on the first day of the weekend, which is on Friday evening, everyone's can pitch their business ideas. And we're gonna pick 10 best business ideas later, and you're gonna form a group, and then after you form a group, you're gonna work with other coaches that we already provide you guys, so you can see how it works for you on your business. And then at the end of the week, there will be a judges who are gonna give you feedback around the business itself. So for some of you who is here on November, the Startup Weekend is going to be about digital nomadism. So for some of you, the digital nomad and wants to, make a startup that can help this digital nomad lifestyle. So feel free to join us and make the business together in 54 hours. So the ticket is still available right now. We already sold out our early bird price ticket. So it's only, right now we only have the middle price ticket. So for some of you who interested or kind of curious on how it works, just feel free to check our Facebook page and just go on the event section. There's a Startup Weekend event right there, and yeah, oh my god, too much talking. Hashtag plus. Anyway, thank you so much. So please everyone, welcome GP.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Super. There is also Vito, like I feel like under exam now. No. Anyway, as Kashfi said, my name is Gianpaolo, but everybody calls me GP, so feel free to share the name, because also in Indonesia it's kind of weird, like it's Gianpaolo or something like that. So I renamed the workshop as Be a WordPress Hero, and you will see why. Mowgli is my company. I will tell you something about my, only in the first slide, something about me. So first things, I'm not a developer. So my background is engineering geology. So this is me picking a sample of lava on the kidding, it's not, it's a stock photo. My work was more like this, working on the foundations and on construction mainly. And I was in this kind of life until 5 years ago. I kind of like that job. It's not like I'm running away for a corporate job, not at all. I was, that kind of job was like my previous life job. And then I switched because for opportunities. So there was not so much things going on in the construction in Italy. So like everything was in a kind of crisis. So I moved with my skills on something else. And one of the first things that I started to do is building some websites for some friends, for some small companies of friends. And actually the first thing that I used was Wix to build a couple of websites. Then I switched on WordPress. I started to learn other things. I learned a bit of coding, but it's not my piece of cake really to be vertical on coding. So I learned about marketing, about other stuff. And then in 2015, I founded this company that is called Mowgli with my business partner. We established in Singapore. We met each other here, actually, at Ubud with my two business partners. And we started to merge our skills. One is a marketing guy, the other one is a designer, like a proper branding designer, and then more like the engineering part of the company. So I keep everything's running and going. This is a piece of our team. We miss Lily because Lily is in our team now, but still the website is not updated. So we are kind of 10 people that are working in different kind of fields, from the content marketing to the social to everything. Yeah. So this will be a code-free workshop. So if somebody is a developer, will be probably disappointed because I'm gonna talk about everything else. But is somebody a developer here? Except you, but you're not a developer. You're a fake developer. So nobody is a developer. Not web developer, but so the idea is to make this easy for people that is not really a code fan. So the topics that we are gonna have is first, I call it WordPress versus Wix. Let's say more CMS versus website builder. So these are two things that we are going to talk about it. What's inside WordPress, why it's so special, strategy, a bit about the strategy. Strategy is not our topics today, but we're gonna see some slides. Build your own WordPress website, and Elementor, that is a tool that is kind of trendy now, and it's very useful for build website from scratch if you don't know how to code. So I did this slide, and after this slide I was kind of, okay, it's so cold and okay. So I decided to be a bit have a bit fun on the presentation. So it's kind of, maybe I pushed too much on the topic, on the theme, but let's see if you like it. So I call it the beauty versus the beast. Because most of the people is asking me, I have to build a website, should I start with Wix, and then, it's easier, and then, I don't know, WordPress is so difficult, you need development skills, blah, 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 blah. So this is kind of the picture of where people is interacting with me, asking me about WordPress. So this is kind of the feeling. So WordPress, that is a scary monster. It's very powerful, but it's super ugly and scary. Everybody is afraid of WordPress. And Wix instead is a super nice, beautiful, sexy, and everything. This is from my point of view. I know that maybe girls want to use another example, but at the end, Wix is super nice, super simple, but it's also a bitch because Black Widow is a bitch. Anyway, these are the two. These are the two things that we are talking about. So CMS, WordPress, content management system. So these are programs. This is something that you install like a program on your computer. Website builder, they are online and you don't have access to them. You can build a website with them, but you don't own the website. Basically, the files of the website, the everything inside the website is like a rented apartment. So you go there, you stay there for a while. A CMS, a program is like your house, so it's something that you own. These are some examples of some CMS. WordPress is like the most famous. There are Magento, Joomla, Drupal. So these are all some programs, apps, or what you want to call them, that you can install on a computer and you can start working with them. And these are some website builders: Wix, Squarespace, Strikingly, WordPress.com, Shopify. I mentioned Shopify and I put it like just a bit down because I think that Shopify is still like probably one of the best way to do an e-commerce. It's like very focused on e-commerce and they have like a lot of expertise on that. So they are very focused on doing like a very, so I know people that has Shopify e-commerce that are selling a lot. So Shopify is still like kind of good. But then, yeah, what the fuck? WordPress.com, what does it mean? So let's say that WordPress is a software, so it's an open source software, so nobody owns it. Somebody created it, but you can install for free on your server. But then the people that invented WordPress said, oh, why we are not like, we don't earn money from, technically, from the software. Why other people are doing, you know, website builders and we don't have a website builder? So they created the WordPress.com that is exactly like Wix or Squarespace or Strikingly, even more limited, so with more limitation, but looks like WordPress. So is in this side because it's also a website builder. So if you build something like a website with WordPress.com, it's very difficult to, for example, get out and change and go to WordPress or Magento or Joomla. So a CMS needs a hosting place. Generally needs a hosting space, a template, plugins. So the cost at the beginning, like in terms of cost of something that you have to buy, is around $100 US per year, the cost that you have to think about. And these are the cost of this platform. So it's only like to start to compare them. But then pros and cons of the two different things. So ownership of the website and contents. If you build something with WordPress or with another CMS, everything that inside, it's yours. So contents, I don't know, pictures, everything. Pages, structure of the pages, everything is yours. On the other side, is not yours. As I told you, you are renting a space, you are renting something, so you don't have access to the real content, the code of the page, the design, or whatever. So, for example, if you have to migrate one WordPress website from a hosting space to another, you can back up the files and move. You cannot migrate between Wix and Squarespace. You need to build everything from scratch, or migrate from Wix to WordPress, build everything from scratch. Copy and paste, okay, the text, but it's fine. Scalability, WordPress, because it's an open source software, you can like hire somebody to code and do everything, basically, like every function, every kind of, you know, things that you can imagine for your website, you can do it. With Wix, for example, you have like a lot of limitation, so they can do only certain things. I had experience of a Squarespace website that the client wanted to have a multi-language website, so double language, English, Spanish. And like it was impossible to work on that because Squarespace doesn't allow like two different. So it was like a very, you know, bad job trying to find a solution when there was no solution because we didn't have access, for example, to the code of Squarespace. Themes and plugins that are things that we're gonna see later. There are tons of resources for WordPress about themes. That is like the kind of the aesthetic part, and plugins is the function part. So there are tons of elements for WordPress. For Wix and stuff is still like kind of limited. SEO that is very important on WordPress because you have access to the code, because you have access to everything on your website. You can optimize everything. So the SEO is not only content; it's also like code, function, website speed, different kind of things. So you can optimize like much better a WordPress website than another website. The cons of WordPress and, of course, the pros of Wix is no tech skills needed. So Wix is kind of you get the subscription and you start to build. Visual Builder, in Wix you can build on front end, so drag and drop elements or whatever. In WordPress, until now, was kind of limited. You need an initial setup on WordPress, so install WordPress on your hosting space. You don't need an initial setup for Wix or whatever. Maintenance and updates. This is kind of important because WordPress needs continuous, it's like an app on your phone or on your laptop. You need to continuously update it. Wix doesn't need it. So adding something to WordPress, adding a friend to Hulk, we can change these two things in pros of WordPress. So no tech skill required and a visual builder. So we can like dragging the balance from like in the middle to WordPress. You still need these two things, an initial setup, but we will see that many hosting space, they kind of let you avoid this initial setup because they have like an automatically WordPress installation. And maintenance and updates. This is kind of important, but also kind of depends on what kind of website do you have. So if you have an e-commerce, maintenance and updates are super important because for security reason and like speed and whatever. If you have a portfolio website, they are less important, but still maybe you need to think about it. About maintenance and and updates, this is like kind of a sentence that turned this presentation to the superhero part, because I said, okay, you have like a great power, on your like platform, but you also have a responsibility. So when you have a WordPress website, the website is basically your responsibility. We have a partner that is doing only a maintenance that is called WPOK. They do only maintenance for WordPress. So it's a partner of us, it's a partner of Ubud also. So I wanted to say something about them because they do definitely only WordPress maintenance. So they keep your website updated. They make backups of your website, like daily backups that is very important, cloud backup that is very important, and we'll see why. So what's inside WordPress? Just like to understand like the big picture, you need to make one WordPress website work. You need a domain, you need a hosting space, and of course the website. So these two things, domain and hosting, are two separate things. I'm starting very basic, so everybody can understand. Maybe you already know it, but I want to be clear because some people doesn't know the difference between domain and hosting. So domain is basically only the name. Hosting is a server, is a computer, and you install your website on your computer. Super simple. Then you connect the domain to the hosting. Sometimes it's already connected if you use the same platform to buy the domain, and hosting is already connected. These are some platforms to buy like only the domain, Namecheap and GoDaddy. The hosting can be different kind of hosting, but generally if you start with a shared hosting that is like a computer that you share maybe with other website. And these are some hosting company that we use. So SiteGround is pretty famous. Host is good and it's cheap. Amazon Cloud Host is like a service that now is it's going very well for like big website with a lot of data, with a lot of traffic. There are other two things that can be implemented in this process, and I put this here like only just to know. Cloudflare is something that makes your website faster, and basically the domain will not go directly to your hosting, but will go first on Cloudflare, and then Cloudflare will link your host. Just to let you know. And oh shit. How can I go back? Anyway. I need to see everything again. Yeah. Me and my animations. Yeah, working. Then usually we suggest to use Gmail as mail provider, and there is also some configuration that you need to do to do it, because it's kind of like the safest place to keep your email. If you have to migrate, for example, if you are with Holocaust and that is cheap, and then you have to migrate on SiteGround, if you use their own system, you have to migrate all the email or do like some stuff. If you use Gmail, you don't have to migrate anything, so everything will be already there, and there's some few configuration that you have to do or somebody has to do for you, but that's it. So WordPress is built by two separate entities that are files, like pictures, media, WordPress files, templates, theme, plugins, blah, 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 files, like you have in your computer. And there is a database that is managing page text, post text, settings, and whatever, what is written. So these two things are like in your hosting space, and they are communicating. This is really like the basic of everything. So, too much Iron Man. And these are like the codes. I said code, not code, no code. In this presentation, there is no code, so there will be no line of code. But these are the codes that WordPress use in order to work. HTML and PHP are more for the structure. CSS is more for the style. JavaScript are interactions, and SQL is the database. So it's something that if somebody is interested to develop this skill, these are the languages inside WordPress. As I said, most of the companies, like this is SiteGround, they have the WordPress hosting, so there is already an installation of WordPress active. So when you buy them, WordPress is already there and active. So you only have to log in and start. So this is kind of what Wix do, and it's like making everything easy. And this is kind of the part. If you are installing, for example, WordPress by yourself, you'll need a database name, a username, password, database host, and table of prefix, but you don't need it now. But this is the connection between the two things, database and the files. If you want to install WordPress by yourself, so see if the hosting space has these two things, so the space for your files and the database, and then there are tutorials or everything to connect them and to do these kind of things. Anyway, not so much for us. Plan your shit. So before building a website, somebody was telling me, don't tell them all the secrets about building a website. Blah, blah, blah. There's no secret. So all the tools that we have now are super simple, super easy to build a website. So it's becoming like less for a developer and more for marketing people. And this is something, the website strategy, the workflow, this is something that is more up to a professional than, you can do it by yourself, but also this is something that is the value, the real value of if you hire an agency or if you hire a developer or whatever. So planning the interaction on the website, planning the strategy of the website. You need always to think about why you want a website and what you have to do to achieve your goals. So the first things are goals. Then you have to think, so goals is like what you want to achieve with a website, as I said. Customer journey, it's more connected to the marketing. So it's also, the website is a part of the customer journey. It's like your house, so when they land on your house, there are some interaction. Then you plan to do a sitemap with the number of pages, the categories, and whatever. Then you study the page structure, so how should be like the communication on your page. Then you design the interaction on the pages, and then you develop. Simple. As I said, this presentation will be much bigger because we are going to do a program that is called Lunch 30. Nicole is here. She's the chief of Lunch 30. So this part will be like much more like we will go much deeper in this part. But it's fine for you to understand that there is always like a strategy behind when you build a website. It's not only like building something that is nice. It needs to be something that is that gives you something, some value. There is also a layer of other things that are not like really developed, but it's more like SEO stuff. So target your the kind of people that is that can be like your customers, target their search habits, study a tree map, building the title. The meta tree map is like keywords for every page. Tree map meta title is like title for every pages, and like everything. Content creation and implementation. So these two things are always going together when you build like a professional website. Okay, it's something that you cannot avoid these passages, because otherwise you're gonna miss something. You're gonna miss traffic, or you're gonna miss like interaction, because the user, they don't know where to go and where to click and whatever. Okay, these are two examples of kind of website, marketing website and sales website with some like objectives and you know, the objective: drive traffic, engage prospect, generate leads, re-engage existing customers, generate more qualified leads. So example of the goals of a website. So this is something that there's also, you can put like membership website, portfolio website. There are a lot of them, but we are not talking about this now. And these are some action. These two slides are very like basic, because I need to go deeper in them. But these are some like interaction that you can have on the pages, for example. So always strategy for the whole website, and structuring a strategy for every page, and with some clear objectives like subscription, contact us, buy a product, download our PDF, or whatever. So it's always like this. You need to study the strategy for every page. And this is something that we need to always remember. And this is something that also my clients, sometimes they don't understand. When you build a website, it's not automatically getting traffic, because it's there. Or you invest in SEO and in communication, and then you can create traffic from organic search, from social media, and whatever. Or the website can be like the best website of the world, but you know, if it doesn't have any kind of traffic, it will be there, like whatever. Okay. So I call this like branding, because Captain America is very branded, and UX because Iron Man is kind of. This is because, so branding and UX are usually our enemies. Let's say, because branding is something that is making your business unique. It's trying to, you know, make this show how your unicity, your like. Because you're special in a kind of way. UX is the opposite. Is making things simple and making things like common and easy to understand for everybody. So I saw an article that was like telling, usually ugly websites, they have more conversion than beautiful websites. And this is kind of true. So if you see like the example of landing pages, usually they are pretty basic and pretty ugly. Like black text on white background, a big button, small video, and like bullet points and whatever. If instead you think about a website from the branding point of view, maybe you have like big images, animation, and stuff. All these kind of things, like a slider. Now the UX like guru, they say that the slider at the top, they are not good for like. For the UX, because they are distracting people, and people is not watching and like not concentrated on that. So movements are something that UX tends to avoid, and all this stuff. So when you build your own website, you always need to think about what you want to achieve in terms of conversions. If you wanna like brand it, if you wanna brand your website a lot, so show like, because you have maybe you are a creative guy, and you need to create something like very nice, very beautiful for your customer, but in that case probably will be less friendly from a user experience point of view. It's always a balance. Yeah.
But what's the main reason for that? Because it's very interesting. When I compare Amazon with eBay back then, Amazon wasn't looking that good, but
yeah.
eBay was. But Amazon somehow managed to have a
They
higher conversion rates.
Yeah, they concentrated on UX instead of in like beautiful pages. It depends. It really depends on the goal of not only your website but your business in general. So if you wanna your brand to stand like a lot and be kind of unique, and you want to invest more in the branding, also your website will be a bit more branded. If you need to sell like a lot of stuff, maybe a simple website, an ugly website will be better. So it's always a thin line, and it's something that in the strategy at the beginning, when you think about the strategy of your marketing in general, not only the website, you need to define this. I want to, be more branded or be more friendly for my users. Then there are like middle ways that you can have like a branded website with some landing pages that are more simple from the UX point of view, and you use them for advertisement, for example. So it's always something that you need to think about it. And in a strategy, in a general marketing strategy, is something that needs to be planned. UX, for example, is also implementing changes to your website to see if the conversion rate is going up or going down. So also if you have like a very branded website, probably there will be more development in that website, and changing something will change like probably completely the meaning of the page from the branding point of view. But the UX says, okay, if you need to convert on this page, build a page, maybe build another version of the page with some changes, A/B testing, and compare the results. So these are the two things that you need to be aware of. From one side, the branding part, and from one side, the UX part. I cannot tell you which is the better now, because it really depends on every single case, every single like business. Okay, let's go on. The beast, WordPress. So start from like the super basic, because everybody is like, where I can access to my website. 99% of the WordPress website, the link for the login is this one. So when you install your website, on WordPress, on a server, on a hosting, blah, 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 this is 99% the link to access. So it's like ours is bmogli.com/wplogin.php. There are, you can change it, but I mean, almost everybody. If you want to see if somebody has a WordPress website, you check the website, you put wplogin.php after, and you see if they have a WordPress website. Basically, you can check if your competitor are using WordPress or something else. 99%, there is 1% that is, they changed the login URL, so you cannot see it. Okay, this is the dashboard of WordPress. I don't know if somebody has ever like entered a WordPress website, but this is something. This is what you see, what you enter when you enter your WordPress website. So the main thing is the column that has all the basic functions of WordPress. So super simple, starting from really the beginning. I'm not going too deep in every function because I want to keep. What time is it now? I lost my.
1:06.
Huh?
1:06.
Okay, perfect. So I'm also going here not too much into details in the things that are less important, because you can like really find tutorials and they're super friendly. But for example, settings. In settings, we'll let's go also on a live example, because I also have this live example. This is a test website that I have. So settings, simple. You have like general settings. One thing that is kind of important is this, because there are a lot of websites, is the tagline of the website. This should be kind of SEO tagline, but a lot of websites, they forgot to to get rid of this tagline and to change, and you see like on the browser you see like the website and then just another WordPress website. It doesn't look good at all. Then super basic settings like the address. This one is not like the main address of the email notification, the time zone, the default user role. We will see the user roles and stuff. From these settings, kind of important are reading. In reading, you define which is the home page of your website here. So you define these are my pages that I have on this test website, and I decided this is test home is my home page. So when people is typing, this is dev.test.com because it's development. When they type this URL, they will see this page. You can also decide to have one post page, but generally I don't do it. Don't take this one if you want to be seen by Google, because this is like blocking all the Google robots. Permalinks is another important thing. Permalink is like how the links of your website are gonna look like. And this is also really depending on a kind of a strategy, SEO strategy that you usually have to think about it. So generally, I would like to say probably post name is the best one because it has the name of the post here. And when you build a website with SEO purposes, like looking at the SEO in the name of the post, you can always customize this and put keywords in different density or change something. So generally, this one is probably the best one. But also, if your website, for example, is a blog, this one that with like the date and yeah, this one with the date can be also an option, because you know blog post blog website date is kind of important. Then you have something about privacy. You know, every website has to have a privacy policy, so you need to have a privacy policy, and this is like another kind of fields. In the discussion tab, there is like comments, so you can limited comments only to members of your website, but it's not like so relevant now. Yeah. Yep.
So do you define members based on some kind of subscription?
Yeah, this is another. So this is if you do a members website, you need other stuff that we're gonna see later. It's not members in this case. It's users or user role that we're gonna see. Other things are, for example, the media page. The media page is a page where you have all your media, so images, videos, PDF, or whatever, you can manage them. Usually you are not gonna, it's very difficult that you're gonna upload an image from the media page, because usually you upload them inside the post page. The media is more for bulk action, so if you need to delete a lot of images or edit something, you can go on the media tab. The comments tab is to review and take action on your comments, on the comments of your blog, so you can see if they are spam, if they are good comments and reply, if approve them or reject them. Users is kind of important. I will show you the user page. Let's say, and tool, there are tools for import-export contents like blog posts, pages, media, and everything. So let's see. For example, the user part is kind of important because now it's me. And let's see. So you can add different user for your website with different roles. And the role is, see, where's the role here? No role here. Yeah, because I'm already an administrator. So if I add a new user, I can decide which kind of user: contributor, author, editor, administrator. All these roles, they have different capabilities. So for example, only the administrator can work on plugins and appearance, for example, that we will see. Author, editor, contributor are more users that have capabilities to write a post or yeah, basically write a post or create pages. Tool, import, export, these two things are related to the last European rules, the GDPR, to export personal data, erase personal data. It's something that is in Europe now. There was this law that everybody was like scared of, so the user now should be able to erase their data from the website if they want it. So these are two sections when you can do this kind of thing. So if the user want to erase his data, you can go there and by a simple click delete it. Coming back, this one. Let's give it no animation here. Three a bit more important things are the menu tab in the appearance. The menu part, that is simply like super easy to understand. You can create menus. Yeah, now it's working. Menu name, menu. Is this working? Yeah. And then add to the menu some pages or some custom links or some categories or whatever. So basically create the navigation of your website. So the main menu, menus in the footer and everything. Widgets. Widgets are important because we're going to see what is a widget also in the last part when we talk about Elementor. So widget is basically an element that is kind of can be placed with Elementor. They can be placed everywhere. So basically, the pages will be built mostly with widget, but it's kind of the search bar or like they can be, you know, audio files. So they are small pieces of code that you can implement in your pages to have some functions, let's say like this. So for example, a search function or a small gallery of images, a custom HTML or whatever. And the customize tab, it's a tab that makes more easy to do the basic settings of the website. So you go already on the front end, you see like the home page. You can change the site identity, the same thing that we saw in the back end. So the tagline, you can select a logo and the favicon, that is like this one. So the small icon that is on the corner. So it's called site icon, but it's basically that. You can select few options. So for example, the menu you created, you can put it like here or whatever. Theme options, these are not important. So, okay. Okay, this is kind of important because one of the, except all these, you know, small things small tweaks that we can do on the website, this is important to understand what's a post and what's a page, because these are the tools that you're going to use for like really build your website. And it's important to understand the difference between a post and a page. The structure of a post is like, it's a blog post. Basically, you know, I think everybody's confident with that. You have a blog post, you have the title, you have some contents, you have a feature image usually. Don't forget the feature image. Right, Suzanne? Taxonomies are the category, tags, and other things that they can identify and group different posts. Metadata that are like, for example, the date of the published date, the author of the post. There is like the format of the post, so it can be, you know, simple post, can be a video post, so the video instead of the image, can be an audio post. There are like 4 or 5 different kind of posts that you can choose from. Custom fields. Custom fields is something that is very important in the post because it's something that, so let's say, yeah, let's watch this. A custom field is something that can identify and give more information about your post. For example, a custom field can be the price. So if your post is an object, for example, a product, a custom field is the price. So it's not inside the content. It's like just down from the content, will be just down for the content, or in any way, it's not a part of the page, but it's something that it can identify your page with some like information. Price, for example, it can be like a date of an event. So if your post is an event post, will be the date of the event, maybe the venue of the event, or I don't know, the speakers at the event, or whatever. So it's something that you can add. It's not already included in the post, but it's something that you can add to enrich the information of the post. Comments. So usually when you do post, there are also comments included. So you can disable them in some templates and some stuff, but comments is like a part of the post life. The page is much more simple. That page is title and contents. That's it. So these are two different kind of things because WordPress at the beginning was only like a platform for blogging. So you had like post and you have like the blog page, and that's it. Now we are using it to building websites. So it's important to have some pages that are called static pages where the contents are there and are kind of fixed. And they don't need to be categorized. They don't need to have like a feature image. It's important like the structure of the content. So in that pages, you work more on the structure, on the layout of that pages instead of all the other things. There are 3 slides about this to make you understand. So pages are your showroom, posts are your promotion. That's it. Pages are to show something like your services, the home page, about us. It's a static page, so it's information that are staying there, and they are almost like the same for all the life of your website. Of course, you can change them, but instead, posts are something that they are more like to build. They can be posts, they can be blog posts. So for like giving your audience contents, creating SEO traffic, so organic traffic if you optimize your blog post. Post can be, as we said, an event or can be a product. So these are posts. So posts are usually used for time-based info. An article about, I don't know, digital nomad, the startup weekend of next week or of November. So info that needs to be organized, archived, categorized. This is important. So posts usually they live in group. So they live in categories, events, news, blog post, or whatever. So they have archives. That is kind of important. Good for services, products. If you are, selling physical products or selling digital courses or everything that can be grouped and can be organized in archives and pages, is a post usually. And custom fields to add more values and more information. Example, as I said, if you are selling a digital course, the price of the course usually is a custom field that is not inside the description of the course, but in the page of the course will be in some places to show, the price of the course, of course. Instead pages are info that doesn't change much, usually. Standalone content. There are templates that are like to build like a custom pages. So like the design part is more usually concentrated on the static page. They have parent-child relationship. There can be like one main page with sub-pages, but usually I will show you the structure after. Usually they don't have like groups. They cannot be filtered or categorized in a different way. So maybe you have like service page and 3 kind of service. These are the child of the main page. And they're usually featured in the navigation. So in the navigation of the website, there is always like homepage, about us, contact us, service, or whatever. The blog page, for example, is an archive of posts. So this is kind of the structure of pages versus post relationship. Pages are page 1, page 2, page 3, and they can have subpages. Not so much. Posts, they can be organized in categories. They can be organized in tags. These are the taxonomy, some example of taxonomies. So categories and tags, product category, whatever. And they have archives usually. So maybe let's imagine a blog has like the main blog page where there are all the posts, and then there is like the category of, I don't know, science fiction, and then I don't know, comedy. Let's say a blog like a cinema blog, science fiction, comedy, and drama. And you can, clicking on the category, you go in another archive. That is an archive of elements that are from the same categories. Or the tag can be, for example, the director of the movie in this case. So if we have this information inside the post, we can make user filter this content to find what they are searching for. Category can be, as I said, the kind of movie. Tag can be the director, an actor, the year, or whatever. Archives, like example of archives are blog page, shop page, search results is also an archive, kind of. The loop is the single element of the archive. So let me show you this. So there is Susie today. That is one of my, she represents one of my clients, that is Borneo Nature Foundation, a cool NGO that works in Borneo on different kind of things. And for them, for example, we are developing a website, and we are designing these 2 different archives. One is the blog archive, for example, where you have like all the blog posts they have with like these are filters of the category of the blog post. And this is the news. It's also an archive, but has a different layout. So it's more like a news feed. See? And there is here a social feed. So the loop is this one, is the single element of the archive page. This one is loop, the design of a single element inside an archive. Then, as I told you, you can filter these. Okay, so these are post and archive pages. So the archive is the single category page, the blog page is an archive. This is important, and I will tell you later also why. I will show you also why. Because we are going to see now templates and plugins for WordPress. Templates, they are usually very useful for static pages, like home page, about us page. They look like super cool, but they cannot let you interact and design this kind of pages. And the design of this kind of pages is kind of important because in this case, for example, with Susie, they wanted 2 different design for 2 different categories. And with Elementor, with the thing that we are going to use it, we can do it. With like a normal template, usually you cannot do it. You have a layout for the archive page, and that's it. So it will be like the same for every category page, the same blog or whatever. This one is already gone. Let's go to the other one. Okay. So categories, post and pages. There are two living things about inside your website. Themes. There are 2 important topics in WordPress are themes and plugins. Themes, what's a theme? Themes is a collection of files that work together to produce a graphical interface with underlying blah, 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 blah. It's the design of your website. So if you can start from scratch, of course, designing a website, or you can buy a theme. There are like many resources to buy themes, and it's kind of cheap, and you can start like with a base, and change elements, change colors, change pictures, or whatever. Generally, themes are not only, I will see you later. I will tell you later. Plugins instead are bits of software that can be uploaded to expand the functionality of your WordPress website. So, programs. Theme, like a dress. Yeah, there's every slide there is like, I was thinking. So it's a framework. They are a bunch of files. They can include also plugins. So most of the themes that are like that people is selling now, they are not only layout. At the beginning, they were only layout, and you could change only a few stuff. But then most of the themes, they include already plugins and images and templates, for example. Templates is, let me show you, for example, I think I have a problem with the, okay. This one is one of the most famous website to buy themes. You can also buy plugins and whatever. But for example, this was one theme that I'm pretty often using. That is called Bridge. And if you see inside the theme, there are already templates, so like pre-made templates. Here there are like kind of 300 or 400 templates, maybe demos. They call it demos, but it's 376, for example. Yeah, it's kind of slow, but it's loading. So you can start from one of these, literally with this. So you buy the template, you install the template, like it's a zip file that you install on your WordPress website, and you can import one of these templates with all the pages and all the content. So they are already like done and built. Let's see one. Yeah. All this kind of stuff. It's not only one page, probably there will be like an about page and whatever. So this is one theme that has different templates inside. So you install the theme, and then you decide, okay, I want to start to build my website from this because I like the general feeling, the design, I don't know, the sections they have, and like all the things. So, and this is one thing that you can do. There are, here I was telling about general theme and specific theme. So this bridge, thanks. And these are some resources where you can find a theme. Theme Forest is a good resource for themes and plugins. Divi and Genesis and Optimized Press are already themes, but they have their own life, their own builders and plugins inside. So they're pretty infamous.
You have paid and free themes, right?
There are free themes and paid themes, of course. Let's say that the The free themes are very basic usually, so they are good for if you have to start a blog and.
What would you suggest to go for the paid one, or?
Yeah, I mean a theme like one of like these is like $59, and you have like tons of options, and you have like demos and plugins inside. So it's like it's much better to start from like with a small investment on this instead of going with a free theme. It really depends on what you wanna do. Okay, these are some resources that we said. What's a plugin instead? A plugin is an app that adds functionalities to your website. Trying to go fast on this. So there is one place that they call WordPress repository that is like an archive of apps and plugins, and it's inside your website. So if you go and click plugin, add new plugin, and you can start search for a plugin that allows you, for example, to share on social or everything, like contact form. We will see it later. I said choose wisely. Every plugin has a cost, not always in terms of money, but in terms of speed and functionality and compatibility. So let's say that every plugin is made by a different company, or I mean there are like tons of developers around the world, and they develop plugins, so functionalities for WordPress. Every kind of functionalities, really. So sometimes these plugins, they have difficulties to interact with each other. So sometimes they are like fighting, there's some code that is good for one and not good for the other one. So I always suggest like a strategy also on this. So see what are the main purposes of your website and choose wisely your plugins and avoid the plugins that are useless or that they don't have like primary functions. Updates is what I said about the maintenance. So because WordPress is a software and it's free, also plugins are software that they have to interact, and if you change, for example, if you update the core of the website of WordPress, for example, also the plugins need to be updated because they need to work properly. These are some examples of plugins. What kind of plugins we can have? So plugins to build a form, a contact form, or a subscription form, or any kind of form. Anti-spam. There are many blogs are affected by spam comments and stuff. So anti-spam, there is like this one that is Akismet that is free and is owned by WordPress, so it's kind of working very well for the spam comments on your blog post. E-commerce, the most famous is WooCommerce. It's integrated, it's free as well. It has also its own plugins, but it's kind of the best way to build an e-commerce with WordPress. Image compression and cache are for the speed of your website. Security for malware and like hacking stuff. Backup, I suggest this one that is called WP Time Capsule because it creates a backup of your website where you want in a cloud. So it can be like either your Dropbox, your I don't know, your Google cloud service or whatever. So you can back up your website and all your files with this, and this it's also incremental. Means that many backup programs, they back up all the website every time. So if you do like daily, your Dropbox or your Google Drive will be like super full in few weeks. This one instead back up only the files that are changed. So if you change like a text or if you change like you add an image, it does the daily backup, and you can go back in time and he will change only the files that are changed. And we'll back up and change all the files that are changed. SEO Yoast is like fundamental for SEO to implement and keep track of the keywords and see. It has a lot of functions. Tracking, Google Analytics and Tag Manager and Facebook Pixel for marketing. This can be either a plugin, but they can be implemented also without a plugin, but for developers. And this category, the last one, is builders. So builders are the plugins that are useful for us to build the pages. And Elementor, the one that we're going to talk about, is a builder. Yeah, sorry. This is more for girls, probably. I miss Thor. There was an intern here until 6 months ago. Kenneth was like a video intern, but everybody, I was like naming him Thor because he was Thor, like 2 meters high, long blonde hair, like super muscly, awesome guy. Yeah, was Thor. And it was super nice. Yeah? So, what's Elementor? As we said, it's a plugin. So, and we will use it some function of Elementor now. It was 2 years old, so it's kind of a new one. So it's kind of new technology that these guys are developing. There's a free and the pro version. So the free version is like available for everybody, but I always suggest the pro version because it has like a lot of more potential. And there is a big community growing because people is pretty excited, and because it's like super easy to use. Not only developers are in this community, but every kind of person. So let's see the free version, and let's go on a live example. So here, for example, let me show you also this very difficult things about installing a plugin. So this is like the plugin page. So I have all the plugins here, and these are all the plugins that I have activated. If I wanna add a new plugin, I click here and we'll open another window. But let's stick with the plugin that I have now. I have Elementor here. Let's activate it. And go on the pages, and I see, okay, test home is the home page of this website. And I click edit with Elementor. So let's see, the interface is pretty easy to, okay. This one is the Elementor sidebar, so with all the things. Let's start with these basic settings, columns and rows and comments. So because we need to be fast and we have to like build our website. Oh yeah, shit, super late. Try to be fast as well. You can define here in these global settings some like fast settings that they will be very useful for you when you build your website. So for example, default colors, primary color, secondary color, the text color, and the accent color. So primary and secondary colors are usually colors that are applied to the main titles of your website. So when you see this one is a title and the color is this one. Text color is the text of the color of the body, so the paragraph. And accent color is usually the main color of the buttons. So you can already set this kind of thing. You can change them like individually for every element. But this is something that makes this a bit faster, so you don't have to change and decide the color of the title every time. You don't have to change and decide the color of the buttons every time. Yeah.
What is the main point about a basic setup to really be able to change all the layout? Because I tested it, it gives me only possibility to change a small part of the layout.
What do you mean?
It's only
this global?
When I installed Elementor, it only allows me to change the layout of a small segment of the theme.
Okay.
Not all the theme.
Okay. I will explain you because it's more related, I think, to Elementor Pro. So Elementor, now we are seeing the free version. The Elementor Pro has more potential. So I go very fast in the Elementor free version to concentrate more on the potential of Elementor Pro. So these are default settings. So let's say that these are not affecting the single widget and single elements, but they are more for you to decide some simple things like the font of the body, the font of the headings, and stuff. This is kind of interesting because you can build your own column color picker. So when you work on the color of some objects, you already have like some the color ready here. So it's relating to branding. So you have your brand color maybe, and you put them here, and you will see that it will be easy to use. Then global setting. This is something that is kind of important, the content width, because one of the problem when we build a website is that, okay, we think about the mobile version, we think about the desktop version, but then if somebody like a client see our website from like a big screen or television or whatever, the content, if you don't decide a maximum content width, will be super stretched. So if you work always like in a full wind, the content will be super stretched and will not look good at all. So this is something that you define. I always use, you know, this amount in pixel, but can be less, can be more. It doesn't matter. Okay, let me go back to the main thing. Basic setting. So this is the content of my page. And how it works, simply, rows and columns. You add a row, in this case, okay? You can edit the layout of this row. You can say, okay, this row is like, is not stretched. You can stretch it, so it can be like the full width. See, there's nothing inside, so let's put this one inside the row so we can see. And delete this. So will be like stretch in this case. Got it. You can decide the maximum width of this row. If you already set the width, shouldn't be a problem. But in this case, you can also decide if this row is like the same or can be more or less as in terms of width. 0. Okay. Maximum height also. If you have to fit the screen or should be like a minimum or whatever. And these are the commands. So these are the commands of the row. With this you can add another row. With this you can drag and drop the row. So let's add another row for now with 2 columns, for example. So you can drag and drop the row up and down. And with this, of course, you can delete the row. Inside the row, there are columns. So in this row, for example, there is only 1 column. One thing that is good about Elementor, and it's very fast, is they have like the commands of your computer. So right-click, or to go back and forward, Command Z, like the normal commands of your keyboard. So it's kind of, you can go back and forward on the, and play with this. Okay, let's. Yeah, you see. Okay. So layout, style can be, you can add a background to this row, you can add borders, you can add different kind of things, and you can add margin and padding. What is margin and padding? Margin is like the space that an element has with the other elements. The padding is like internal space. So if I have 2 rows, for example, let's say that, let's do the same. Duplicate. And then here, for example, I say, okay, let's add like this margin, okay, will be 70 pixels from the next element. This one is both on the top and on the bottom. Padding instead is like the space that is inside. So let's say 40. So see, this will have like 40 pixels from the top, 40 pixels from the bottom, 40 pixels on the sides. I can change this if I unlock this. For example, I can say, okay, I want a space only from the top. Okay, and that's it. So it's only like the space, the padding here is it only from the top. Then you have, okay, these are layout, some basically configuration, style, background, and other stuff. Advanced, there is these things. If I click here, I can duplicate this and make 2 different columns in this case. So the good thing is that I can change the percentage of this column, or here, column width, or also drag and drop this. I can, for example, duplicate and create 3 columns with 3 different, distances. So it's super easy and super visual to manage this kind of things. And also, I can still like work with numbers. Okay, so these are 33. Yeah. Okay. So also the column has the same comments. The layout is different, but the other things like background and margin and padding are still there. We can add, for example, I don't know, a background to this column. This is the media library. I told you that you're not going to use the. Let's use like a. Okay. And I can work on this with like with different things. So, for example, size cover means that it will cover the background of this column, and then giving a bit of padding so we can see the. Oh shit! Too much. So, okay. If we, for example, give some padding to the column, okay. No margin. Sorry, margin. Okay. So we will create space with the like other elements. So let's say that we are building now, for example, 3 section with like an image background and a text on it. We already created them. Comments are, as I said, pretty easy. It's like right click, you have a bunch of commands like edit the widget, duplicate, copy, reset the style, navigation. I will show you what is it. So if you click with the right click on an element, you will see like different kind of comments. So if we want to, for example, duplicate this row, we simply duplicate the row. Visual composition and widgets. So what I think what you were like saying is that there are some elements that are inside the pages usually that are called widget, and this create button will give us like a general idea about the basic widget that we have. So we have, for example, inner section, a text heading, an image, text editor, a video that we can insert, button. Let's say, for example, we want to put a button here. Okay. This is a widget that is called button. You click here and you can, edit this widget in different types. So these are some pre-made layout for a button. Let's keep this, then change the text. The link of the button, of course. You can center it. You can decide the size or whatever. Okay. Then you can style it like a bit more with like the size of the text, the font, the weight. It's too big. Different kind of things. the color of the button. So in this case, you can like no, this is the color of the color of the background color. It's in this case. Done. There is a button for the hover state. So yep. Animation. The border radius of the button. So if it's like rounded or squared completely. The padding inside the button. So see, there are like thousands of options that you can customize the single element. So in this case, it's a button. It can be also, for example, let's do another. Let's add another section here. So another row. Like this can be, for example, an image. Same thing. Choose your image. Let's use always this. You can define, for example, the dimension of the image, and also different things like the state, so the opacity when you go on hover, transition. So there are thousands of options really that we can go on the single option forever in this case. Yep.
Would it be better to invest on a team? You said it's
okay, a team.
Then, add Elementor and then just
This is something.
tweak it as we
This is something that it's yes and no. So there are teams for Elementor, but there are. I mean, with a team, you have already like a base where you can work, like the header, for example, the footer, and some things like the, I don't know, go to top button or kind of stuff. Some teams, they have Elementor inside, so they are already built with Elementor, so they are like kind of already Elementor friendly. Other teams, they have other builders inside, so basically all the contents of this, it's very difficult to keep activated like Elementor and another builder, because they're gonna slow down a lot the website, and sometimes they don't work together. So it's something that I did to use a team for the general layout, and then edit the internal part of the team with Elementor. Otherwise, you can build from scratch with Elementor, but Elementor Pro, not Elementor Free. Content style, we already saw it. Templates, okay. Templates. For now, I only use this button to add a new section, but you can click here and install a pre-made block. Bam. Here, for example, we see that it's this one, for example, needs to be stretched. Yeah. Pre-made block, and start editing like this part. Text, or start editing the text here, or whatever. So you have a bunch of pre-made. What's that? Faster. Yeah, you have a bunch of pre-made sections that are here. There are pages that are already built, and you can also save your own templates. I will show you how to save your own templates. So you can start from something that is already made. Pre-made section is this. Templates. Okay, I'm pretty happy with this section, so I go here and I do save a template. I give it a name, 3com section. And I save it. And simply, it goes in a list, and then I can find this in my templates. So I can, yeah.
So you mentioned earlier about the difference between a blog and a page.
Mm-hmm.
Is this to create a blog or a page?
So this one is more to create pages. It's more to create pages, static pages. So these elements are like for a home page, about us page, or whatever. The Elementor free allows you only to play with these elements that are like 4 static pages. Very simple. History, this one. You can go back and forward on what you have done with this. So if you deleted something or whatever, you can always go back until the first part. Responsiveness, we know that it's pretty important. So here you can check the layout on different devices. For example, here is the tablet view. So let's say that I don't like too much this because the button is too big, it's going on 2 rows, etc. So I click here and see I have 3 new things here that they allows me to edit some stuff of this element only for this particular view. So let's say that I don't want to here 3 columns, but I want to here like only 1 column. So 100, 100, and 100. So it's only on tablet. If I go back to desktop, it will go back on 3 columns. And same for every element. So you can set different options for all the elements based on the different device. And this is pretty useful for, to create a responsive website. And these are the main things about Elementor 3. Elementor Pro is way more powerful. I'm not doing it here, but I can show you this one. So while I create a template for some section, so I created a template for example, like the section with 3 columns and the image or whatever. I can create templates for almost everything. So section template is a section that we created before, so some content section. But with Elementor Pro, that is it's like $49 a year, something like that. You can create header on the website, so menu and stuff. I don't have a header here, but for example, this header is created with Elementor. Footer, so the bottom of your website. And you can create templates for pages. So this one single is the single blog post template. Okay, we have one. We can view it. You can always use the elements inside of the single templates. But for example, single blog post, archive, loops, you can also give them header and footer. You can give them conditional rules. So conditional rules mean you can apply these templates only to certain things. For example, here it's a blog post page, so there is like the image, there is the avatar, my avatar, let's say the title, the content, share, comments. All these elements are made with Elementor. So these are all elements that you can find here. Good thing is that I can display condition and say, okay, this layout will be applied to all posts. Okay, all posts, all. I can say, okay, this will be applied only to one category of posts. So if I want different layout for different categories, as we said before, in this case of the single blog post, I can design a different layout for each category and apply this to different categories. The same thing with the header. So I can design a header and then apply this header only to certain pages, or only to certain categories, or only to certain elements. Footer as well. These are, for example, 2 different headers. This one is transparent, and this one has a background, has a white background. So they are different. This one also has the title part that is already like this one. The header here is from the top here until here, so until blog. So this one is one kind of header that is applied only to certain pages, and this one is applied only to other pages because they have like the hero image. So you can decide condition and apply elements only to certain pages, for example.
Where was conditions?
Mm?
In the menu?
Yeah, when you save a layout, it gives you like the condition menu, or there is display condition where you can define the different conditions. Faster, faster, faster. Condition, header and footer, conditions. Search. So the thing is, you can create templates of pages for the single blog post or single products, for example. We don't have here activated WooCommerce, but if you activate WooCommerce, you will have here also products and products category or archive, I don't remember. So you can also design with elements your product page. So the product page usually is like image and title, description, and price and buy now. You can like switch them. You can do everything you want, playing with elements. Like everything is visual as we saw like here with placing elements where you want. Okay, almost finished. Global widget is something that is really useful because, for example, global widget is an element. You can save an element, like here, for example, a button that synchronizes inside all the websites. So if I save this button as a global widget, I cannot do it because there's no Elementor Pro here. But whatever, here, this donate button is a global widget. So if I go in Elementor and I place this button in different parts of my website, the donate button on different parts of the website, if I, for example, if I decide to change the color from orange to green, for example, this will change in all the places where I put this button. So the element is synchronized along the website. If I change something on the global element, it will change in all the website for this element. So it can be either, like, it's useful for buttons, for example, but can be different kind of elements. Dynamic fields, yeah, later. WooCommerce to, what time is it? Okay, I need to finish. Let's say something about dynamic fields. So when I create, is like the last topic, and then we go. When I create, for example, this, let me show you. When I build a page, the page is like, the page is static content. So the content is there. You fill all the contents of your page, and that's it. When you create archives, so blog pages, like the archive of the blog, and for example also the loop, so the single element of the blog, you have dynamic fields like the title of the blog, the meta, so the author, etc. So this page, for example, where is it? My templates. Last topic. Single. Yeah, blog post body, for example. This is like the layout of the single blog post. These are all features of Elementor Pro. Huh? Elementor 3 doesn't have header, footer, conditional. So yeah. So this one, for example, is the date, Okay, let's do this. Author. Okay. So I didn't use the right one. This is a global element. Okay, here. Let's edit this. No. No, I need to search another one. Anyway, when you build a blog post, for example, a layout of a blog post, the title, the feature image on the top, the author, etc., they are dynamic elements. So these elements, you don't like write the title of the post in every element in the front end, but the title of the post is taken from the post. So all these kind of elements you have in Elementor. So you can define, okay, here is the title. For example, let's say I can add one here. I didn't think about this. Heading. And this, instead of having like a fixed text, it can be dynamic. So I can say, okay, this is the post title. Bam. And we'll automatically take the post title. Okay, and this will be applied to every post. So this text will change based on the post that we are. So this is something, when you have dynamic, means that this element can be dynamic. And the dynamic thing is that can take some information based on the page where you are. So if you are in this blog post that is called in this way, the title, you will see this one. If you want to add something different, for example, I don't know, post time, will show you the date of the post. So this is kind of, you can build, when you build dynamic pages like blog post page or archive pages, you use dynamic elements usually. You don't use like fixed element because the post name is changing based on the post.
Can you also edit the style of it?
Yeah, of course. Style. You edit like there is like a custom.
Custom CSS also?
Yeah. Okay. You can also add. You can also work on the CSS always. Like the CSS is. Let's say that this one is kind of powerful because doesn't need like a CSS. This is a custom, for example, a custom font that we implement, and you can upload the font directly in Elementor, and Elementor will use this font like an internal font. Dynamic fields, queries and previews. Okay, let's leave it. WooCommerce, as we say, the WooCommerce is implemented. It's nice because you have also a builder for the coming soon page. So you can build a coming soon page if you are building your website. You build a coming soon template and it's applied to all the websites. So external people that is coming, they won't see your website because they're gonna only see the coming soon page. Instead, if you are in the backend, you work on the website. These are some add-ons that allows you to do more stuff and have more elements, but I will. Templator is super cool. This allows you to save templates of sections and pages on cloud. And then if you connect this to different websites, so if you connect it like with all your websites you're working with, this is more for like people that work in our field, allows you to upload and download section from different websites. So if I have a section of one website that I want in another website, it's cool to have it, and it's free until the end of the year. Then who knows? And this is also interesting because it's also free. Envato Elements is the website where you build the templates, and has this plugin called Envato Elements, and allows you to download pre-made templates with page templates made with Elementor.
What's the Anywhere element?
Sorry?
Anywhere Elementor?
Anywhere Elementor is it's another extension of Elementor that has different things. One of the most interesting things is that works with advanced custom field. That is a plugin to put some custom fields in the post, but I'm not like going too deep in there. Or the first three, they have more elements. So basically they have more widgets that you can use, like progress bar, pie chart, or whatever elements you wanna put on your website. And that's it, I think. This is like after the end. There are 3 main resources that I use for